Before I begin, let me ask this. Do you consider yourself a feminist? If you do, please raise your hand. Many people I have talked to have remarked that they can always tell who is a feminist. I want you to think, what does a feminist look like to you? It could be that feminists reject traditional femininity. Perhaps they don't conform to the accepted views of how a woman should look. Perhaps they aren't a woman at all. The Cambridge Dictionary defines feminism as the belief that women should be allowed the same power, rights, and opportunities as men and be treated in the same way. I'll say it again, we need men. You might not agree with the title I've chosen, but today I want to challenge your thinking. When planning for this talk, the statement stood out to me time and time again. The idea of feminism is changing and evolving. Even the name feminism points to women only. Now it's about everyone. Men are allies and not the enemy. Feminism is only portrayed in one way through the media. Radical. You can spend a few seconds online and you'll find reports spewing misinformation with radical feminists taking center stage. Many of you may have negative views about feminists. Often they're perceived as man-hating or man-shaming. It's easy to see why you'd think that. Some feminists are downright horrible. They're hostile towards men. But consider this. For over 200 years, feminists have been told that they hate men. And of course, it makes a great story. In reality, these perspectives represent a small subset. I believe the majority of feminists focus on equality without the extreme ideology. I had a class where we discussed our views on feminism. Aged only 12 at the time, many of my peers already had stereotypical views about feminists. They're women with loud voices, placards, and green hair. They're not you and me. If we could see the truth reported, then we may have some chance of seeing the bigger picture. It's critical to recognize diversity within the feminist movement. I thought that line up in the shower. Many of you may have negative views about feminists. Some women think that feminists are telling them that they can't stay at home to raise their children, be a housewife, and take on the domestic responsibilities within their family. What I believe is that you can be anything you want to be, no matter your gender. This is exactly what feminists want too. It's breaking free from gender constraints. It's about not limiting yourself because of your gender. As with many subjects, our society teaches its children a biased view. Does this education start as early as primary school? A BBC report published in June 2023 states that only 15% of primary school teachers are men, and only 1 in 3 state-funded primary schools have no male teachers at all. This was certainly the case at my first school. This is a gender gap. Research shows that men often stay away from the teaching profession as they aren't seen to be as nurturing as women. I believe this is a stereotypical view and that children should be exposed to a gender-diverse environment. This will encourage symbiotic relationships and a balanced view. The same imbalance is repeated outside of the playground. Adults allow boys to be boys. They can play rough. However, when girls do the same, they are picked up on it quickly and labelled as aggressive or even a tomboy. So if girls and boys are not allowed to demonstrate the same play behaviours from a young age, how can we expect them to position each other as equals? The suffragettes laid the foundation for modern feminism with their brave and relentless fight for women's rights. Yes, the men in charge eventually supported women getting the vote, which was an amazing achievement. But how many men in the public eye speak out about this issue? I can assure you that during my research for this talk, I didn't come across many active male feminists. It's easy for them to say that they support this movement, but are they making speeches? Are they making a difference? And are they really getting their point across? I'm a fan of the musician Harry Styles, but I have to say I feel his support of the feminist movement is lukewarm. Is he a feminist or is he just being a decent human being? In 2019, he told Rolling Stone magazine that he didn't want a ton of credit for being a feminist, as to him, it's not something that's a big deal. After fans went crazy and labelled him as their feminist prince, he explained that having been brought up by a strong, independent mother, equality is just normal for him. He has a wide and captive audience. Wouldn't this have been a great chance to use his voice and say something really hard-hitting about feminism? Thankfully, some prominent figures are prepared to speak out. The actress Emma Watson is an inspiration to many. She openly labels herself as a feminist and recognizes that men play a pivotal role. Emma is a member of the He for She campaign, which is a global solidarity movement for men and people of all genders to stand in solidarity with women to create a bold, visible, and united force for gender equality. Emma's speeches have attracted millions of views, and we're going in the right direction, with over 300,000 men having signed up to the campaign. This is amazing progress, but how do we stop those men that still feel it's acceptable to block the advancement of women? Gender inequality is still at large, especially in football. A former footballer commented on women commentating because of the pitch of their voices. Joey Barton, a former Manchester City and Newcastle midfielder, said that women working in commentary and punditry was like me talking about knitting or netball. People think we have achieved equality now. People think there is nothing to fight for anymore. But things like this still continue to happen. These men are holding back progress for equality. Fortunately, we can look to singer John Legend, who advocates for gender equality and proudly identifies as a feminist. His statement, "All men should be feminists," emphasizes the importance of men's involvement in the feminist movement. Maybe take a leaf out of John Legend's book and give your all to feminism. Imagine him belting out those lyrics. His advocacy reminds us that feminism is not just a women's issue, but a collective fight. We all need to be on board with this concept. So, feminists, we need men. But more importantly, we need everyone. From the first moment I asked you to raise your hand, we stood together in solidarity. Remember that our strength lies in our unity. So, together, let's raise our voices, raise our hands, and raise the bar for equality. Thank you.